I asked Michael about the fact that organics are not taxed and do they have a plan? And he said, I don't think there's any way that we can do this because, the haulers can't count whether or not you've got a durable bag when they're tipping into the cart. Trying to figure out who does and who doesn't, and it varies week to week to week. So you would have to try and build things and take away week to week to week. But he and I are going to talk, and they are aware that this is a concern, and there will be more to come. And if the committee would like, we can ask Michael to come and talk to y'all. So that is an option. Can I answer any further questions about the organics program that is in development? Yes.
I don't, off the top of my head, remember which city, but one city breaks out taxes for a certain percentage of the cart.
Yes, that is the city of Minneapolis.
Is that something that would be reasonable due to the organics not being taxed and garbage being taxed?
It's a little different because in Minneapolis, they have a base fee that covers collection, recycling, yard waste, bulkies, the organics program, and the vouchers to the transfer station. So that base fee, they have a percentage of that is taxed. And then all of the cart fee is taxed. So because they've got the base fee and the cart fee separated, that's how they do that. They keep track of, okay, of the base fee, how much is due to garbage collection costs? And then they tax that piece. Everything else is not. Yeah.
I just worry about that backlash of, I want to, I'm throwing the organics in, but now I'm getting taxed on it.
Right.
But I think even the bigger issue is like if you had you're not closed anymore, so they're charging you for having an open container with like that reason's not open, it's supposed to be organics.
Right. Again, if you wish, we can ask Michael to come and talk to you about that. When I've talked to a couple of the Ramsey County commissioners about it, and one of the Washington County commissioners, basically what they said was, if you want to avoid the tax, just continue to take your material to the drop-off facilities. All right, because then you won't have to have a large cart. You can take your material to the drop-off facilities, and that material isn't taxed. So they are absolutely committed to keeping the drop-off programs going, even after the in-the-cart organics program is in place. But again, y'all can think about it at the end of the program. We'll talk about whether or not you would like to have the county come and talk about that. Okay? Next one, please. The additional fees. There were some questions about, are all the haulers charging the same amount? Yes, they all charge $3 per bag. And our agreement states that that can be charged when the cart lid is open 6 inches or more. All right, so the extra bag forces the cart lid open 6 inches or more. The late fees, that is in the agreement, and it is 5%. And the haulers can charge that 3 times for the 3 months of the quarter. And then that sort of ends, and the next quarter begins. And they send the delinquent payments and the late fees to the city once every quarter. And then the bad check charge, that is $30 for payments that are rejected due to insufficient funds, which is kind of standard around the industry. Any further questions on those? Okay, we had questions about what were the garbage prices before this came in. And this is a report that is now on, the entire report is now on your committee's website. All right, so you can see the entire report. But I've pulled out 3 of the charts on there. So what the city did, and I was not here at that time, but what the city did was, hey, send us some of your bills. You can redact whatever you want to redact, but send us your bills. So there were a bunch of invoices, small, medium, and large. And then the small, people were paying anywhere from $53.65 to $10.33 for a small cart. The spread on the medium cart was $58.52 to a low of $9.17. And the spread on the large cart was $59.72 to a low of $18.87. I will tell you that I did a similar study in a previous position for the city of Bloomington. And some of those spreads were even higher. I had access to all those bills, and I did talk to folks to say, okay, you're paying $75 a month for a small cart. Why? Folks that are elders, folks that aren't used to pay bills, maybe someone's been recently widowed, folks that aren't used to negotiating or challenging a price, folks that are used to just, I get the bill, I pay the bill, I get the bill, I pay the bill. Those folks tend to have the highest prices. Folks that are a little more savvy, folks that tend to do bargaining, folks that are used to negotiating. If their hauler says high prices are going up, they call their hauler and say, okay, if you're going to increase my price, I'm going someplace else. And to keep a customer, those folks would tend to get lower. And what happens is, over time, the spreads get bigger. They just do. So there was a question, what were the prices before? The entire report is now on your website, but these are prices that were reported to the city of St. Paul before coordinated collection. Yes.
The footprint is pretty tiny back here, Susan. I just want to point out that it's monthly rates that you quoted, not quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. And yeah, some people are paying more, some people are paying less. It really depended on what kind of, how individual people approach their bills. Yes, sir.
If I remember right, the city did break out where those high prices came from. They just kind of like basically lumped it all in and just did it as a data set instead of showing like certain areas that had higher or lower.
I think that I'm trying to remember the report. I think, Chris, do you remember? I think that there were some breakouts about where.
Well, it absolutely was just a sample citywide. We did not pinpoint particular areas. We did get sample bills from all of the haulers at the time, 15, and we did get bills from every zip code in town. So we felt we had, even though it was a little over 200, it was spread out over the community versus one big pocket. But that's as far as
Awesome. Thank you.
And if you want to see the full report, it is on y'all's committee website.
And it does break it down by zip code in the reporting. So that's what's one of the mapping.
Okay? Yes, ma'am. Next. Okay, garbage cart distribution. There was a question about how many folks are on the various sizes. So if you take a look at it, the 35 gallon every other week. Hi, Gabrielle. Can we admit her?
Is now popping up on my screen. No, I can't.
Hi, Gabrielle. Welcome. So on the cart distribution, we've got about 11% that are on the 35 gallon every other week. We've got about 26% that are on 35 gallon weekly. The 64 gallon weekly is about 35%. And then the 96 gallons are about 28%. Okay, so that is current information on folks, what size carts and the service level that folks have now. Yes, ma'am.
And I think just maybe an important note that if I remember right, the default was a medium cart if you did not specify it in the test.
Yeah. Any other questions on that? Next slide, please. And there was a information about the 2022 budget. This is, and I know that Lori is on here, this is sort of generalized. It's in large buckets. It's not in individual little buckets. But in terms of employee expenses, about $483,500. The services, that's the phones, the PCs, the bad debt stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Public Works overhead, $3.8 million. Materials and supplies, those are the carts. Our computer supplies, 147. Sarah, when you changed this, I thought that there was another transfer. I thought there were 3 transfers.
There was, I will double check.
Okay.
I apologize, I do not.
All right. But we do have areas that we have to transfer. In other words, we transfer money to the general fund to pay part of the mayor and the city council and the city attorney, et cetera. There's the debt service fund. When the city did the carts, there were, we have to pay that money back. And then if I remember right, there's an internal service fund, but I will make sure that on your website, I'll make sure that's correct.
That's what you have on things.
Okay. All right, next slide, please. You asked about illegal dumping. These are as of 2020. I don't have 2021 numbers yet. But in terms of tons collected by our street maintenance folks from illegal dumping, we did see a decrease in 2020, a slight decrease in 2019. I kind of expected that because folks weren't used to using the bulky program. So we have seen a slight decrease there. And Chris, one more slide, please. And those are the mattresses and box springs that were collected by the street maintenance folks, illegally done. All right, sir.
Just regular numbers, or is it?
Those are just numbers, those 80 mattresses, 90 mattresses, et cetera. Okay, so street maintenance is seeing fewer of those. Now, on the drop-off program this year, we did specifically have a couple of mattress collections. And we'll have those numbers later. Is there a next slide? I don't remember on this one. Okay. As I said, I don't have answers to all of your questions, but of the material that was presented just now, any further questions about that? Yes, sir.
We have a breakdown of the carts per district or per area.
No. I could probably map that, but what I would be doing is I would be going to an address, what is the cart, putting it on a map. And if that's really burning for you, I'll work with our IT folks so I can figure out how to do that for a couple of weekends, but that's not something we can easily do.
What we could easily do is the number of residential units per area, which would give you an estimate. Not that many people have extra carts. Most have just what they need for their units, but that would be approximation, and that would be fairly easy to do.
That would be the number of dwelling units, but in other words, if you're looking for whether one area of town has mostly small carts and another area of town has mostly large carts, that one I would have to map out address by address.
Well,
It's my
they
understanding.
change really frequently. They have part changes all
Yeah.
the time.
So please let me know if that's what you're after, and I will make that happen. Okay? Yes,
Just back up to the budget slide.
yeah,
Happy to come back to this the next time or whatever, but those are just the expenses.
yes,
When looking at the budget, just what's going out. There's obviously money coming in.
right.
So I think it would be helpful to see what's that total budget sheet showing, here's what's coming in. I assume it's the number of dwelling units times the number of cards for the income,
No carts.
or, I'm sorry,
It's the number of residences times the amount.
The amount, yep, minus all of those expenses.
Right.
And you come up with that dollar amount at the bottom,
Right.
just to know, so that everyone knows if it's negative amount or positive amount, just to see if it is a positive amount, where is that money? The extra going,
It would stay within the fund,
okay,
all right? It would stay within the fund. And quite frankly, if we make changes so that you recommend, we have somebody else coming in? I keep hearing you, Vince. Not having to bond for some of that, if we need a new billing system or if we're, you know,
or if it's negative where you're losing money,
right.
whereas that's, where are we putting the
All
dollar?
right.
I think that would be.
I'll try and have that before your next meeting. All right? Are there other questions? Okay. Garbage information from other cities. Now, I sent you out the Word document that has lots of stuff. And what I've done on the slides is I've sort of excerpted it. I haven't given every bit of information that's in this document on the slides. But I did want to walk through this with you so that if you had questions about some of those cities or questions about how they do stuff, we could do that. First one, please, Chris. Okay, so these are the types of collections and who does the billing. Apple Valley, they do a zone collection, but it is billed by their haulers, and it is, you get to choose who your hauler is. Bloomington does have organized collection, and they have a consortium of haulers. Egan has an open collection system, but they are promoting what's called the neighborhood block program, where everybody in the block gets together. They provide some of the forms, they provide draft contracts, things like that. Maplewood has organized collection. They have one hauler. I believe that's still Republic Services, and that is billed by the hauler. Minneapolis has organized collection. Half the city is pulled by a consortium of haulers, Minneapolis Refuse Inc. The other half is done by city employees. City employees also do dirty collection points, all of the cart service, and a couple of other functions, and that is billed by the city. Richfield has organized collection. They have 3 haulers that have specific areas billed by the individual haulers, and St. Louis Park has organized collection with a single hauler, just one hauler, like Maplewood does, and that's billed by the city. Questions? Next one. So I did not put all the cities on here. These are the cities that have the organized collection. Bloomington provides garbage recycling, bulkies, and electronics. Yard waste is through the same hauler. There is, if any of you have gone to Bloomington, September, I think it's for early October, they do, for each of their zones, they have 5 zones. You put everything that you want to get rid of for that year on the curb. And it's everything from concrete to cans of nails to hot tubs to mattresses to big toys, whatever. It's a mellow mess. It's just brutal. But they do have that as a citywide cleanup program once a year. Now you pay additional for that. If you want to participate in that, there's an additional $4 or something on your bill every single month so that you can participate in that. Maplewood, they do garbage, bulkies, and electronics. Yard waste is through the same hauler. Recycling is a separate hauler. Garbage is, if I remember right, garbage is Republic in Maplewood, and Tennis provides their recycling collection. They do a citywide spring cleanup. It's over at the county site, and it's a drive-through drop-off. Minneapolis does garbage recycling, bulkies, and electronics, yard waste, and organics. Whether it's MRI or whether it's city, whichever part of the city you live in, that's your hauler. There are vouchers to the transfer station for construction and demolition, bulkies, and tires. Richfield provides garbage recycling, bulkies, and electronics, yard waste, and organic through should be, yeah, through the 3 haulers that they have. And St. Louis Park, garbage recycling, bulkies and electronics, and yard waste and organics, all through that one hauler. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that in Minneapolis, they use the city employees to do like the cleanups and like, I assume also potentially like illegal dumping cleanups and stuff like that. And you said for us, that's done by like the street maintenance team, the same folks with potholes and stuff.
Yep.
You know, if the other cities that are, private or that are private or using consortium, do they have to use city staff to do their illegal dumping cleanup too, or?
It varies. Some of the cities don't do it at all.
Okay.
Some of the cities do it with public works staff, and some of them, contract with, for instance, a private company or sentence to service.
Okay,
It really does vary.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
This is just kind of a related question, simply because I don't know. If there is illegal dumping, someone dumps something behind my garage, do I have to pay for that to be hauled away?
It depends. All right, you can use it as one of your bulkies. If you get a citation from DSI, the inspections folks, and you don't take care of it in some way, they arrange for it to go away and they bill you. And those are usually pretty significant bills. Or you can call a private 1-800-JUNK or something and get rid of it. If it's on.
It becomes my responsibility.
Yes, ma'am. Anything, and this goes back to state law. If something is on your property, you are responsible and accountable for its proper disposal. I live out in a rural area. I'm not going to even tell you how many mattresses, tires, televisions I have taken to SRC transfer station.
But if it's on the boulevard, it's the city's responsibility.
No, ma'am.
That's what they told me, and they even got it in the.
Yes. If St. Paul
Okay.
is on the boulevard or in the right of way, then you can call the Department of Safety and Inspections, and it will be hauled away. And I mean, that's the expense of the city and taxpayers.
Okay. But I also have a couple of customers who have called me because on the boulevard, DSI billed them for service. So that's why I said it depends. All right, I'm sorry. That's one that I would love to have one solid answer for, but I don't. Okay, pricing. These are for the basic services that we listed on the previous slide. One of the things that does stand out is the Hennepin County environmental charge is 15.5% as opposed to the Ramsey County, but the state landfill charge is the same for all the metro counties. Now, Hennepin County has had the Hennepin Energy Recovery Facility for a really long time. So a lot of that service in the new facility is gone. I mean, they've already paid for that. They also, for many, many years, had a really high tipping fee, which also helped pay things down. You had these prices in your previous stuff. Do you want me to go through them? One of the things that I would mention is folks say, Minneapolis has got a really great program and then everything goes away. You kind of get what you pay for, all right? Yes, everything goes away. Everything goes away. But it's not a cheap program. Okay? So you sort of figure out where you want it to be. The other thing that you might note is Richfield, it looks really low, but then you also have to realize that is garbage only. Not recycling, it's not yard waste, it's not anything else. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Couple questions on Minneapolis, from the document that you sent out. It says $26.46 per dwelling unit per month for the city, or is that not?
That sounds about right.
Okay,
I know where it was several years ago. That sounds about right.
so that's per dwelling unit,
Yes.
so.
So if you have a
multifamily would be-
duplex,
Yeah,
if you have a duplex, there's two base fees. Plus, and that's the base fee, plus however many parts you have.
Or they make you that.
Pardon?
Or they make you that.
You, in Minneapolis, you only have to have two carts if you've been overflowing.
Like here though.
Right. But she was asking about Minneapolis.
so do they, as far as for multifamily, are they allowed to share carts in Minneapolis?
Minneapolis provides service to 4 dwelling units and under, and anything else that opts in. Those 4 units can share carts as long as there's no overflow. And as long as garbage from 2942 Pillsbury doesn't end up in 2946 Pillsbury's carts.
Okay. And then there's also an additional, you have in your small carts are an additional $2 per month, large. It says $5 per cart, but I'm guessing that's per month.
No, per cart per month. All right, in other words, in Minneapolis, they use that base fee to cover collection, recycling, yard waste, appliances, bulkies, vouchers. That's the base fee. And then whatever size cart you have, that's the additional, either small cart or large cart.
Per month.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Just one quick question for more than 4 unit, ones that opt in up there, or across the river, are they able to use like larger than just cart for collection?
No.
Okay. It cuts off basically if you have to go up to a dumpster or anything like that.
Then you go to a private service.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
For a while, Minneapolis did have some dumpsters because they handle some of the public housing high rises. But I don't think they do that anymore. I can check for you if y'all want. Other questions? Okay, these are the yard waste prices, and these vary also significantly. On St. Louis Park, they have a pricing model similar to Minneapolis, so it's included in their fees, but the other charges are as they are. Okay. Next. Bulkies, they also vary. And those prices are usually put in the contracts whenever the city contracts. Some of the contracts with the various cities, they escalate, some of them they don't. But those prices are part of the contract. Any questions on that? No, yes. Any questions on services that other cities provide? Those are basically given to you to sort of, these are some of the options you can look at.
Are Minneapolis and St. Paul the only 2 out of this sample that have the additional city fee on top of
What do you mean city fee?
the?
CEC?
No, the city, like the
annual
base
fee.
annual fee.
Minneapolis doesn't have an annual fee.
Okay, I guess I was thinking that like $26, I was putting that in sort of a, that's not correct.
It's just as in St. Paul, we went over the bill, and part of the bill is for collection, and part of it is for fuel, and part of it, yeah. That 20 some odd dollars per dwelling unit per month is all of that. Does that make it?
Yeah, so like Bloomington, Richfield, St. Louis Park, they don't do, I guess, unlike St. Paul, they're not pulling out and adding on property taxes an additional
Not that I know of.
per cart fee.
I am, oh gosh. Sarah, could you check that out, please? Oh, okay. Gabrielle, as soon as we can hear, I'll get your question.
Yeah, I just was thinking when I heard the word property taxes, I was just wondering what, and you may or may not know, with being the capital city and having many government buildings and churches and stuff that don't pay property taxes, how is that factored into what the rest of the population has to pay?
We have to leave the building. There's a fire alarm, so we are going to stop the meeting momentarily. So just stand by, everyone. Thank you. All right.
There we go. Okay, I apologize, folks. As I told the folks in the room, I think the garbage is really fun and exciting, but that wasn't exactly my plan. Gabrielle, we did not hear what you were saying because all the alarms were going off. So could you please say it again?
Yeah, I was just wondering, thinking about the property taxes and all our public building and churches that are exempt. How does this reflect on the individual household, and also in terms of mileage that trucks have to drive around public buildings, and how does this mileage and the fuel that they need, how is it distributed, or how is that considered? By the way, I'm just exercising, so if I'm sounding out of breath, that's it.
Okay, I don't know that that is distributed in any way. We have the same challenges with snow plowing because, you know, those properties don't pay property taxes, but snow plowing is paid through property taxes. What I will do is I will ask Bruce Engelman, who is our property tax dude, and I will see if he has an answer for you. But we do not consider that as part of the garbage fees or as the garbage, the garbage or the recycling tax on the property tax statement.
Yeah, but the fuel isn't it kind of addressed in the garbage bill?
Okay, the fuel for the garbage haulers to serve your house, yes, that is part of your garbage bill, but any fuel loss or inefficiency due to driving past a church or a school or a park, we don't really consider that right now. I'm not sure how we could do that, but I will ask Bruce. Is there anything else that I can? Any of the folks that are online? Okay. All right. Now, what I was planning on doing next was, Jeanette, did we have the list? Okay. Y'all had put together a list of some of the things that you really liked and you really didn't like. And what I'd like to do tonight is to start to build the topics or the areas that y'all want to include in your report. For instance, I'm going to guess that you want to have some sort of part sharing recommendation in your report. I'm going to guess that, let's see, that some sort of opt out or something is going to want to be part of your report. So what I'd like to do is, okay. Like to do is, I want to just take a look, let you take a look at this list. We'll kind of go through it sort of slowly so that you can remember what it is that you talked about. I know that some of you told me that you had additional things that you both liked and didn't like. And online folks, as we go through this, please, when we get toward the end, raise your hand because I want the things that you also want to have included. And then I want to try and group these so that you have, I don't want to say chapters, but sections of your report recommendations. And then next meeting, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna give you lots of stickies. We're gonna have some things put up around the room. We're gonna say, okay, 2 or 3 at a time. You 2 or 3 go to here, 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 here. Give you 5 minutes to put stickies up of what you would like that report to read. Shift to the next one, shift to the next one, so that everybody gets a chance. Now, I'm hoping that we can have many of you in person at the next meeting. But those of you who are going to be online at the next meeting will have 2 breakout rooms online so that you can also give your thoughts on pieces of the report. Okay? So, can we start to scroll down? And I'm just going to let y'all take a look, scribble down at your places, things that you want to add. Yeah.
And just for folks to know, this is from the first meeting.
From your very first meeting.
Well, don't we want all of it?
Well, yeah, but I want to see if there's anything else that you want to add. Okay, and then I want to start to think about how we can group some of these things together.
Yes, I would have actually 4 things.
Okay, just a second, please. Okay, did everybody get a chance to refresh on things that you already put together? Okay. What are your 4 things, please, Gabrielle?
That's if somebody doesn't use the Bulkies program, they get charged, or they pay for it anyway.
Okay. I'm going to tell you that for most of the Bulkies programs, and I wasn't here when this program was put together, but for most of the cities that include Bulkies, they assume in their pricing that about 10% of the people in any given year will use the service. So I'm just telling you that that's how that's usually priced. But let's include that on your list.
Yeah, then like remove, like you have to give a reason for absence trash stopping. It's like we're all adults, so remove that reason requirement. Or let me rephrase that. It does not work to have to give a reason for absence trash stopping.
I kind of think they did remove that. They don't really need that anymore.
Let's make sure we capture it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, please.
Yes, and then the third one was the recycling fees are all the same, like $60 for 1 to 3 household and 38 for 4+. So does it make sense that $38 for 4+ households pay like 38, and 1 to 3 households pay 60 recycling fees?
We're not set up really to do recycling program things in this committee, but let's keep it on the list and we'll see if we can get you some information. And what's your 4th one, please?
Yeah, I saw it. That's the opt-out opportunity. That's already listed, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's listed, but that was my 4th one.
Okay. Other folks online with additions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the, or 2 of the areas that I know of been brought up in our council meetings and in discussions in our neighborhood area is with the basic development of the contracts, that there is first off a real need for a more open view of the negotiating process in developing the contracts in the first place.
Okay,
With and that includes how the bidding process happens, who are we bidding with, just the usual negotiating things. And the second one is, I'll wait for you to finish typing. The second one is related to the entire process of collection. Here on the east side, we have had horrible problems with some of the haulers, with missed collections. And then when complaints are made, you can't get the complaints in. Credit isn't given. The negotiating process really, in our view, in this area, appeared to give all the power to the collection companies and no power to the customers. So that there were, with any negotiating process, with any contract, and I know the ones that I've taken part in when I bid on things, they have to be carrots for performance and there have to be sticks for non-performance. And it really appears that the non-performance sticks pretty much missing from the last go around. That needs to be implemented.
what I will do is on your committee's website, I will put the section of the current agreement that has the liquidated damages section. So that you know what those are. I'll make sure that that's up there.
Okay, thank you.
And quite frankly, there's some things that I would have added, but I don't think anybody's ever had a contract yet that was perfect. But we keep.
Oh, no, I've seen perfect contracts. Of course I have. No.
Okay, Gloria, did you have any additions or comments? And if you did, you read it.
One of my questions was whether we could do like the big bin at a block, like personally in my block, they're all homeowners, and I think we could benefit from having a large bin versus everybody paying for individual bin. I don't know if that's a possibility. I know that we don't have like associations, but I mean, the fact that this is a mandated thing for the city, it's pretty much operating like an association for the entire city of St. Paul. So why not benefit from it by having a big bulk trash can in certain places? If like the neighbors agree, that'd be a possibility.
Okay.
Another thing I've thought about, especially for people that are on a fixed income, you know, setting up a contract where maybe it's a monthly pickup and it's also maybe for a building, you know, depending on the people that are wanting to take advantage of that bulk pickup at the end of the month, especially for fixed income individuals. I think that'd be a benefit versus doing the biweekly or the weekly, especially for people who are trying to do the best to do like all green kind of living, and they do everything to minimize the trash that they throw.
So are you saying there'd be a month garbage collection?
Yeah, because I think some of the fixed income people, from conversations that I've had with some neighbors, it sounds like they've thought about that, or they've wondered if that'd be an option, or has the city thought about, for those people specifically, do they have like a drop off location if they are just the ones that would do it one time or two times a month? they can go drop it off at a location, because I'm assuming if that's the case, and they don't really have a lot to throw, and they could probably, if they're going to the mailbox, and then they can go dump the trash on a Saturday or Sunday, I don't know, whatever the hours would be.
Okay? Take a look at that. It might be
And
summer, but we can take a look at it.
with regard to the bulk items, I've never used it. I do pay for the biggest bin, um, but it just seems like there's just no incentive, because I do have to pay additional fees for whatever my bulk item is. I'll go with waste management. So I think they would charge me like $35 for my bulk item on top of whatever, I don't know, I'm supposed to get 2 free items, but the last time I checked on uh, throwing like a sofa, they said it'd be $35 extra. So I sold it on Facebook.
I need to make sure I'm clear. Had you already used your 3 bulk items?
No, I've never used it. And the reason why I didn't use it is because when I called to schedule it, at the end of the year, I was told that it could be like $35 extra. And I mean, I thought it'd be easier to get rid of it or give it to someone than to get the $35 plus tax that they charge me.
I apologize, because if you had not used your 3 items already, you should not have had a charge. And I apologize. If that happens again, please call us.
Maybe that goes under the one that we already had, where the people that you called on us, on a tenant contract.
Yes. And we're working on that now. Several of you have noticed that we have tried on social media and on our website to give you all not only our phone number, but also a web form that you can use to get directly to us through our customer service system. We really want to help you with those things. Yes, ma'am.
I was just within this, there's one thing, I think it's very recently where I went and changed can sizes and all of my stuff, and I went 5 weeks with different trash things. Going from a large to a medium at one property, and then going from a weekly to every other weekly with 2 of them, and the third one was every other week. And I got a whole $2.38 credit for the 5 weeks without trash between the 2 bills. And it was 5 weeks of having something that was clearly stated, this is, the change. I didn't get charged a fee for doing it, but I don't think that I got credited the right amount of money when I called them. They said, well, that's just how it is. And so I was like, okay, well.
I'd like you to give us a call either tomorrow or next week. I'd like to look into that, please.
Yeah, because I thought it would be more. And it'd be nice to have something that you could just look at right away, that if you go from this can, this can, this will be the weekly increase in prices or something, so that us way people can do that, because I did notice a bigger decrease in my bill though, of like $40 on one bill and like $20 on the other bill, with the price increases that were supposed to come with this year and stuff like that. It still was a little bit less than that, but to only get that amount of credit on that in 5 weeks with different containers didn't totally get up. So.
Give Sarah a call, either tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, I think there's a good suggestion about having the weekly rates on there. I think that actually help a lot of people with billing questions. Yeah. You can have a staff member that addresses billing questions when people call. So if you have a question, you're just like, I don't understand it, we can help decipher and find out if you were just, supposed to get there too. But
Folks in the room, are there other things that you want to have on here? Yes, ma'am.
It might already be on here, but, do we have the option for monthly billing versus just quarterly? Content?
Let's add it to the list.
For multifamily, it's huge for monthly.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we talk about whether or not there was a reason that buildings that had more than 4 units were not part of this program?
That was done at the very beginning. Chris, do you know why that was?
I think one thing.
What's the question?
I'm sorry, the question was, why weren't like 5 units and more included in the program at the beginning back in 2018? Or, yeah, 2018.
I don't remember if I can go back to our community conversations, and internal conversations together with the callers, but I think most basically if multi-units are considered commercial accounts and handled with different equipment, you know, mainly like dumpsters and different equipment and, you know, different routing. So that was, I think, the biggest reason why.
That's not true for all of them. My neighbor has a 5-plus, and they have 1 big can, and I have to have 6 cans. And they have 2 cans, 1 for recycling and 1 for garbage, and they have a 5-plus. I have 3 adults in my building, and we have to have 6 cans, so each of us got our own 15 cans. Which is ludicrous.
You have 3 dwelling units.
I have 3 units, I have 1 adult in the 3rd floor, 1 adult in the 2nd floor, and 1 adult on the 1st floor, me. And I have to have 3 huge recycling bins
Oh,
and 3.
okay.
trash
Okay.
cans.
I was trying to figure out why you had 6 garbage carts, and so I'm okay now.
So it's supposed to make the neighborhood look nicer, but I look like Stanford in the front.
Okay.
The issue with, in my neighborhood is that on one side of the alley are an entire block of apartment buildings. And they have dumpsters, so instead of reducing the amount of traffic in my alley, I added another truck because there's Aspen and Highland, there's, the one that I have, which is, I can't remember. And then there's another one, so there's 4 trucks of duty. And they're all too. And my house, the one that Lori, one house, each is a different one, and then we all have, yeah. So yeah, I think it's just really fun.
Okay. Alicia, did you have something else?
I have a question when we're done with this, if anyone has something to add, it's a question about the process.
We're adding up here, are these topics in addition to what kind of was listed?
Yeah. Yeah, in case that as we've learned some stuff and as we've thought about stuff, and we've talked to neighbors, there were additional things that you wanted to have considered.
The only, the 2 things I think that I'm not sure got on here is one, I'd like to talk about like city coordinated billing. I don't remember if that was done below there, but kind of going on with people. And then the other one was looking at like single hauler or partial supplies and something like that instead of the larger people pushing it out there now.
Okay. Did you have something, sir?
I was just gonna mention that I did ask about why was before we cut off last meeting. You said it was just that's the arbitrary thing that we do this week.
My understanding was that cities around the country, usually it's 4 and under and 4 plus. But it is sort of an arbitrary thing. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question about how you see like the next couple of meetings going, because I understand, like, I think we're about to divide these into like large buckets, right? So just different types of things, and then when we're going around the room, because like I would assume that we all want to talk about opt-in or opt-out, but we're not going to come to an agreement on it. And so I'm wondering, like, how do you see, are we just deciding what goes in the report and not like Well, the majority versus minority report, that kind of stuff. I don't, that's my.
Right. Okay, what I'm planning for the next meeting is we'll have a topic area. You're all gonna have stickies. And I want you to put what you want to have, for instance, opt in and opt out. Is there something specific that you want opt in and opt out? Do you want to have, cart sharing or a complete opt out or what you would be looking for? I'm going to take a look at all those stickies. I'm going to have all that information together. Where there is broad agreement, I'll try and have that as a majority report. Where there are other things in there, a minority report. I'm going to try and organize that. I'm going to give that back to you so that we can work on it, make any changes. All right. I want very much for this to be y'all's report, but I recognize that everybody is not going to agree with every particular nuance of every particular topic. So what I'm looking for is some broad agreement. And then where there are significant challenges, what are the minorities? All right? Yes, ma'am.
I have an idea on something that might work to kind of fix some of it in a way of doing like a la carte thing. Like everybody who has a cart gets one bulky item. But if you want more than one bulky item, you can buy into it, just like you do with yard waste and stuff like that, and all of that, to buy into it. And if you don't buy into like the bulky waste event, then it means city council meetings too, where people are brought into city council over trash and stuff like that, then those people have to do what the city council or whatever says. So if you get called on yourself, then you lose your ability to choose or something. But if you can handle it, if you find a way to buy into it, so it's a kind of a thing to buy into if you want it, or if you don't. Whatever possible way of.
You can look at that. There are some things that I'm going to give you my professional opinion on whether or not we can do that. If it is the consensus of this group that you would like to see city billing, that'll be in your report. As a professional staff person, I've made it clear that I'm also going to be asked to give a staff recommendation. I feel strongly that the city should be doing the billing, but that would be my staff recommendation. I told you that's what you put in your report, that is your stuff. I also said that a lot of times the council members and the mayor will listen very strongly to y'all. I also believe that parks should be managed by the city. This is a city asset. And we've got parks in Maple Grove and Hugo and Blaine and Afton and all over Finnegan's Field. So, that is something that is important to me.
So that might cut down too, because then if there are these people, because I know I talk to people like in Lauderdale and Roseville and stuff like that, and the smoke that their garbage went up from what it was because of what St. Paul was being forced to have to pay and do and stuff like that. People I know in those cities, their trash is up almost double too, just because of this. And
Why?
Because they can charge this amount. And that's what they're charging, so then they're going to them, and sometimes everyone I know, there was a lot of them, where I used to live, my daughter lives now.
I really want to keep this.
If that was the city though, it would take that power some away from them, and put it,
Yes, sir.
I think we could probably break it down to two other subtopics.
All right.
One would be green. How can we reduce waste? What incentives can the city of Olive do to the residents in an effort to reduce?
All right.
I think that we really talked about that a whole lot.
Okay.
And then what financial incentives would be available for us.
Okay.
The second thing is the cost. So what can we do to reduce costs for everything? Would that be, would people be willing to pay a one-time viewer fee and get 1 month free? Or what would be the most economical to all people. We have, 80 extra mattresses a year. At $30 a mattress, it's $2,400. We're only collecting 10% of 70,000 homes for the bulk, 7,000 items at $30 an item. It's basically 50 cents a month.
So the irony is that they price that based on the fact that they assume people what 10% is going to use it, right? So like the irony is more people take advantage of it, who that billing around would potentially,
The next contract,
Yeah.
possibly.
or sorry, the next contract, yeah, sorry.
And
Not that people shouldn't be using it, you
Right.
should use it, it's in the contract.
I don't know if you all want to consider a structure where there aren't additional charges for particular items. You saw a city that has a base fee that has everything included except the disposal of the garbage. That is not something that would be a particularly green way of billing. But it is a way that makes sure that all the costs are covered and there is less incentive for illegal dumping or trying to put a mattress or a couch on your neighbor's property. Because it just goes away no matter where it is in a residential area.
Here could be my example, like Urban Park, and the city has, I think, 8 garbage cans in that park. They overflow all the time. There's no recycling bin, no whatsoever.
Which park is that, please? Thank you.
Okay. Requested to the city, to the council person, and you.
Okay, thank you. I wanted, pardon me? Langford? Okay, thank you.
Are we talking anything else? Or are we just chatting?
Okay, are we ready to bucket? All right, I'm gonna let you start.
I can go.
Go.
Okay, go. Okay, green, we've got cost and pricing. And I don't know if we want to put cost and pricing in with opt-in, opt-out, or if we want to make that our own, maybe opt-out, cost sharing, other options, or part sharing, et cetera. And then I think we need a bucket that talks about the process for the next contract. So RFP versus negotiating versus bidding, blah, blah, blah. And then, you've got bulky items to see its own deal.
All right,
And then I had one where, billing and customer service, I think is separate from cost and pricing, right?
yes.
Yeah, I would make that at home, and I can't remember what else we have. But
So the billing / customer service? Because it would be my recommendation that if the city does billing, then we also do customer service, because that way, when you call, we'll know the carts, we'll know the billing, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the mandate for languages makes me very happy for the city to do this.
Okay? Yes, ma'am? I'm sorry. Okay.
I don't think there's no way that part very much is being done, but.
Okay, I love it. Make more or less the same, you don't have to feel their nonsense, I love it.
There was a question that popped up there.
Okay, help me with, was there a question that popped up?
Yeah, I just find that the more jobs get created to support the stress program, the more costly it would be for us as a consumer. Bigger government is never less costly. Let's focus on reducing the cost for residents. This is additional income for the city, so of course they don't want to get rid of it. But make decisions to make this more affordable for fixed income homes. With increased monthly rent, let's make this an affordable program by not continuing to employ people to support this program. We, the residents, can take care of our own bailout when we do it. It is a disservice to continue employee city staff to support a costly and inefficient program.
Okay. Thank you.
Well,
Pardon?
I just had a question that doesn't have clear. I'm just wondering, so seniors on that property tax program. How does, if they decide that they don't want to pay their trash, how does that work in with the rest of that senior meeting or whatever, their property tax?
Anything, if somebody doesn't pay their bill, we assess that to the property tax.
Yeah.
It is part of their entire property tax statement. So if there is a senior deferral,
Mhm.
it is deferred with the rest of their assessment, with the rest of their property tax.
In their state?
But that all has to be paid back if they sell their home or share, okay? And that's one of the things that from my perspective is a challenge for the city, because the city pays the haulers twice a year, but we don't get that money back for 2 to 3 years or maybe more. So it's a float sort of thing. Okay, other thoughts about the buckets? More buckets, fewer buckets. Okay, what would you combine? Do you want to have a recommendation? Okay, no, you got it in there, process for the next contract.
Could we put like,
I guess I wouldn't want to combine anything at this point.
Okay,
I mean, these buckets should all be like reviewed. I mean, sure, you can maybe combine, I don't know what you would combine. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 buckets only.
yep,
Yeah, so we've whittled down a whole 2 pages or whatever of bullet points into 6 buckets, and I feel we may have overlooked something, but I don't have that list in front of me to right now.
yes, sir.
the only thoughts I had were we could potentially comprise, bulkies and opt-in, opt-out under cost pricing, if you added like cost pricing of services.
Yeah. Microwave for recycling.
Yeah.
Well, and then the only issue I think is like, if it seems like, do we want bulkies or not? And then if we do, we have some questions about how we pay for them, and that's the only reason I would make them separate. Cause
I think it would be helpful to y'all to have those as separate items. But again, this is gonna be your report.
Do we want a bucket with like, I was just reading, I read last week all of the stuff that we got sent for. And I'm wondering if we want a bucket of like stuff that other places are doing that we like, that we like learn about.
Perhaps as you consider what should be in your recommendations, if there's something, for instance, on bulkies that another city does that you really like, you could include that in your recommendation.
Yeah, well, would it be helpful just to have it out for now, just so you know that that's the, we kind of where it's coming from, like, this isn't like a pie in the sky idea, this is something that other people are doing that we like.
Sure.
And then we can, and then for the final report, they can get incorporated for everything else.
Okay?
I don't know, I'm sorry.
No, no sorry, no sorry.
I'm a bureaucrat.
Everybody gets ideas here.
Good at processing.
Yes,
Are we supposed to make recommendations on yard waste?
that's up to you. You are supposed to do whatever you consider needs to be in this report. Do you want a bucket for yard waste?
Could be part of the solution.
Yeah.
Okay?
And if my driveway 17 cars, my tenant is also like Stanford, the son, he was cars. There's a question.
Okay, Gabrielle, you had another question, please?
Yeah, I see that. So why is opt-out and bulky items under cost pricing services and not separate?
There was a thought about possibly trying to combine a couple of things. Do you feel strongly about keeping them separate?
Well, in the end, it's all big old thing, but I think in order to, I think we need to like treat, I would think that we need to like address each separately. And then see if we can, yeah, I would hate to see it getting lost.
Okay,
This is one chance that we have in our lifetime, to get it right. Let's not cut corners is what I'm thinking. And then, yeah, okay, green. And yard waste, yes, I would also agree to that. Some people maybe, like I bring my yard waste always to the compost, so yeah, I think that should be addressed as well. Just like the bulky items, yard waste, a la carte service.
if these are the buckets that you are happy with, these are what we will work with next time. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, pardon me?
What I think was that like 6 buckets for one house, is that what?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Just wanted to have to be sure.
Yep.
I think of car sharing when my grandma and my neighbor shared one car.
Well, and I guess I just meant anything that is more less restrictive than our current, everybody must do this, is how we can have that.
Yep.
That's how I thought about it.
Yes, Chris?
I would just suggest, a title for that bucket. We used last round, which is called applicable households. And then you have the different service levels about being able to opt in, opt out, sharing, the 1 through 4 unit households, how townhouses are addressed, all that. Applicable households with the buckets, that's what the
Well, because
aerial, those pieces.
with bulky items, the people that live in the 5 blocks, one of them moved out, they put the stuff over on the boulevard over in front of my house. They put it on the boulevard, so I called the city and said, hey, it's broke on your doors. This is making a nuisance in my yard. They came down. Okay, but, if they didn't have to, they used that same all the stuff that didn't stuff, so they just came and put it on my yard. And so there should be something too of a reporting system or a system that oversees it that can, if you don't follow the rules, you can impose this or whatever and stuff too.
Okay.
Within it,
Lucy, you have something else?
It's probably a sub one of these, but it would be the service hole
Okay.
discussion. Doesn't need to be its own bucket, but I think it should maybe so.
Yep. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Are we able to look at those length of the new contract?
You can make a recommendation on that.
This first contract was 5 years, right?
Mhm.
And it seemed like an awfully long time, especially for something that was so new, and if things went wrong, if there was no option to change it or tweak it or things like that, so maybe you want to look at the possibility of shortening this to like a 3 year.
You can include that in your report. Yes, sir.
Could we potentially then, like, just adjust that process for next contract bucket to be just like, more like a next contract catch-all, and we could do like the process that has like RFP, how we want to do length on there, any of the other like big mechanic items of the contract itself as opposed to
Yep.
I mean, technically, all of this is the next contract.
Right.
But yeah, the mechanics of it, yeah.
Yep. Yes.
This might be a big, I don't know, a big bucket, but the whole, I keep going back to the budget. And where the money is coming from and going to, and trying to eliminate the, like, largest time for all the assessments, just like the overall goal, and that's really expensive.
Yes, yes, it is.
Just to talk and make sure that that's very transparent as far as financials from the city side. The flow.
Mhm. I've done some preliminary analysis. And depending on what the Office of Financial Services requires, I believe that we can do billing and customer service with our existing staff as long as we don't have to do assessments. But again, that's a very preliminary assessment. Yes, sir.
We talked at one of the first meetings about having one of the target haulers or the consortium come in and talk to us.
Mhm.
So on the other side, when we put this bucket list together, do they have a bucket list to help improve the system, possibly reduce costs as well, some other items that would be beneficial to them?
Greg mentioned that the earliest that they can come is not our next meeting, but the meeting after that. And what I was going to ask you this evening is there I've sort of told them kind of a maximum of 20 minutes, but this is your meeting. So what do you want from the Haulers Consortium and their individual members? What would you like?
They just tell us what they can offer us.
What's been good for them and what they would change.
And look at how our teams think, in their proposals more than. I don't know that, I wonder where you'd be most honest, like right now, or in your bottom line,
If your recommendation is a negotiation of the existing contract, there is not a whole lot in terms of what is legally possible for the city to do in renegotiating the existing contract. We just went through that with Eureka, and we're very limited in things that we can change. You could do a request for proposals, and the existing haulers would certainly be able, in their present structure, or other haulers that are not in the city right now, to do that. I think it's a great idea to ask the haulers what do they like and what do they don't like, and what would they like to see.
I don't know if we necessarily need them to come in right away. They could do like you guys are proposal with the practice for us.
What is your preference? I know that they would like the opportunity to be here, but if you would prefer that they just give you something written, I'm sure that they would be able to do that.
Or if they could do it by next meeting, get us something in writing, so that we can make a determination if we can ask them to come.
Greg, is that possible? It's a short timeline for a very diverse group of people.
I will then have a board meeting with working on Wednesday. I will present it, put via email, but then hopefully we can either do something better detail.
All right, thank you.
And it could be bullet points, just like we have. And I don't think we're
Because they
expecting.
have to change it, like, because it was initially set up with like a private college, and some of them are not out of business, like in school. With bigger colleges already, and that's what's kind of gets scared with it all too, but what could you go to that movie?
They didn't get to change the contract, all right? But the city cannot tell Joe Holling, you can never sell your business, all right? So that is what happened, is that because of the structure of the state law, there were companies that were planning on selling, they delayed so that they would know what the structure is, and then they sold their businesses. All right, sometimes in third and fourth generation companies, the kids don't want to be in that business. And so the family sells. I'm guessing it happens that way on apartment buildings too. Absolutely. Okay. All right, we need to start wrapping up here. These are our buckets. I will get to you guys the response from the Haulers Consortium. It would be great if as many folks as possible can plan on attending the next meeting, but we will be set up to have a couple of breakout rooms so that the folks can work. And Gabrielle, I'm sorry, I didn't notice that you had your hand up again. I apologize.
Yeah, sorry. Just about the Haulers Consortium, when they come in on the 3rd, they're going to get like all 1.5 hours. I feel like I'm going to get like put through the ringer. I don't know. what the purpose is. I'm worried that they try to bend arms or whatever.
I told them that my original was for them to plan on 20 minutes max. But again, I also said it is up to this group what you all want from them. So let's get some information from them on whether they would prefer to submit something written for your consideration, or whether they would prefer to be in person. And then we'll go with what you all would like to hear from them and how long. Okay. Is there anything else? Thank you very much. You've done good work tonight. Very good. I appreciate it. Have a good evening. And sorry for the excitement.
We're so sorry.
It was not part of the plan.